Welcome to The Right Show for Right Now. I'm Julissa Bermudez.
I'm Sonia Richards-Ross.
And it's time to put the culture back in pop culture. Right now on Central Ave.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Central Ave. Even the famous are being forced to pandemic pivot, and tonight we're tracking all their moves.
But first, let's get started with the queen, mover, and shaker of the week, the actress, the activist, who took legal action against her former employer and settled for more. Gabrielle's got tenacity in tonight's Traffic Jam.
The more that we stand up and speak out for injustice, we cover all of us.
Kicking off the Traffic Jam, an amicable resolution with an undisclosed amount was reached in the dramatic showdown between Gabrielle Union and the producers of NBC's America's Got Talent.
Hi.
After the former AGT judge was let go last year, she filed a complaint citing harassment, discrimination, and retaliation. Union, who's allergic to smoke, also had a serious beef with Simon Cowell's reported indoor smoking habits. And she even highlighted some of her past hairstyles that she claimed show producers deemed too black. And it's bad hair over at Hulu as the creator of Dear White People delivers a killer weave October 24th.
A woman's hair is her most prized possession.
The all-star cast of the horror film includes Usher, Lena Waithe, and Kelly Rowland.
I pushed her. She fell.
With Halloween upon us, Amazon premieres a creepy double feature. The Kissing Booth's Joey King is in the middle of a murder cover-up in The Lie.
It kind of does showcase the absolute devastation lies can bring.
We call this headset the black box.
And Central Ave welcomes the great Felicia Rashad to the horror world, and she means business in Black Box.
If that thing shows up again, you just say to yourself, I run my mind, it does not run me.
Ricky Martin could add 3 more Grammy wins when the 21st Annual Latin Grammy Awards air on Univision November 19th. At the top of the nominations, J Balvin, Bad Bunny, and Ozuna. Meanwhile, former nominee J-Lo is heating up YouTube. Jen's new steamy 2-part video with Maluma for their singles Pa Ti and Lonely with over 13 million views. And speaking of hitmakers, Taylor Swift made music history this week with her latest release, Folklore. She's now spent 47 weeks at #1 on the Billboard album charts, more than any other female artist, and breaking Whitney Houston's 33-year record. All right, moving on to another record breaker. On this day, exactly 25 years ago, over 150 million people watched as O.J. Simpson was found not guilty. Now on the silver anniversary of TV's biggest event, the ever-growing expansion of the Simpson media machine is tonight's central story.
We, the jury,
if it doesn't fit, you must acquit.
has only fed the media frenzy.
Not guilty of the crime of murder.
True reality TV before there was reality TV. Not a moment went unseen in the unprecedented wall-to-wall coverage of the trial of the century. Over 150 million people watched the O.J. Simpson exoneration. What kind of ratings did that score 25 years ago? The founder of Programming Insider, Mark Berman, says the trial took the place of daytime soaps because it was one.
In terms of percent of the audience, it was about 75%. And we hadn't seen an event that big since the Apollo landing in 1969, and then the finale of MASH.
Of course, Simpson's dream team of trial lawyers skyrocketed to prominence. On the prosecution side, Marcia Clark and her hair were water cooler topics, as was Christopher Darden, and whether his decision to have O.J. try on the glove was a devastating mistake. But perhaps the biggest born star from the double murder trial was Court TV.
Court TV was really born. And what I'm talking about is, for really the very first time, America was completely captivated at the same time in one trial, in one courtroom, on one network.
Court TV's lead anchor Vinnie Politan says America's obsession was thanks to the juice.
People loved OJ. And to see someone that you loved and admired being accused of double murder? This doesn't happen.
The TV saturation began with the Bronco chase on June 17, 1994. 95 million people watched the slow-speed caravan, learning football hero O.J. Simpson was in the back seat, reportedly with a gun to his head, a far cry from America's beloved Hertz spokesman.
Nobody has more of what it takes to get you into a new LTD or other fine car faster.
O.J. is innocent! The Simpson verdict not only highlighted the racial rift in America, it set it on fire. Oprah's audience alone was a good litmus test as they watched the verdict.
87A, a felony upon Nicole Brown Simpson, a human being.
All the big players got book deals. Johnny, Shapiro, and Darden. Marsha Clark was paid $4 million for Without a Doubt and has released a total of 10 books since the trial. But beyond publishing, Marsha co-created The Fix in 2019, a legal drama about a Los Angeles DA who suffers a devastating defeat in a double murder trial, which some called revenge fantasy.
Not guilty.
Told you I was innocent.
And countless films, series, and documentaries have been released, most notably FX's American Crime Story, starring John Travolta and Cuba Gooding Jr., which went on to win 9 Emmys. And ESPN Films' O.J. Made in America was honored with an Academy Award for Best Documentary in 2017.
Hey, Twitter world, this is yours truly.
O.J., now 73 years old, joined Twitter last year after serving 9 years in prison for an unrelated crime. He still owes millions of dollars to the Goldman family since a civil court jury found Simpson liable for the deaths of his ex-wife and Ron Goldman and ordered him to pay $33.5 million to their survivors. Ron's sister, Kim Goldman, who was 22 during the trial, continues to work toward healing, which is why she co-hosted podcast Confronting O.J.
I'm your host, Kim Goldman.
Kim got to speak to so many of the characters involved in the Simpson trial. Who would you say impacted both you and Kim the most? Podcast producer Carrie Hartman says when Kim sat down with a juror who of course voted not guilty, the room was transfixed.
I could see in your face you're hurt.
He couldn't believe that she treated him with so much respect, and he was in tears.
Meanwhile, O.J. Simpson has become an oversharer on Twitter. He now has nearly 1 million followers. All right, coming up next, the cartoon controversy that silenced some famous voices is straight ahead.
Hey, when do we play? We can play as soon as that bad dude Slappy gets off the field. Hey, Bill. What's all that tutti-frutti stuff on you?
Welcome back. That was Fat Albert, one of the first cartoons to feature an African-American cast. It ran for 13 years every Saturday morning. Now, animated TV is being rocked by a controversy that's questioning the actors behind the genre's most famous Sounds of Blackness.
There was a huge racial reckoning happening in this country, and Hollywood, of course, is just a microcosm of what's happening in this country. There were a lot of instances in which biracial, multiracial, and Black characters were being voiced by white actors.
One by one, white Hollywood stars jumping ship from their cushy and lucrative animated gigs, exposing the whitewashing of animation.
Oh, Lordy. Jenny Slate kicked it off when she said, hold up, this is a position of privilege. I'm stepping down from my role on the Netflix animated series Big Mouth. Kristen Bell followed that.
Oh, wow.
Mike Henry followed that. So it was Hollywood just saying, okay, we're part of the problem. How can we rectify this?
What did you think when Jenny Slate and Kristen Bell quit their jobs?
I say kudos to them for volunteering to step down. I think they were volunteering. We really need that kind of solidarity if we're going to be seeing any improvement in casting this way.
People don't often think about the voices behind the characters, except when it came to The Simpsons. A couple of years ago, there was a huge documentary called The Problem with Apu.
How many of you had to deal with being called Apu
The Simpsons, stereotypes, all races.
A lot of people thought it was irresponsible to have someone do something which was viewed as a caricature.
Hello, welcome to the Quickie Mart.
Hank Azaria spoke out and said, you know, I do see why this is a problem.
I'm perfectly willing and happy to step aside or help transition it into something new.
It took nearly 31 years after facing backlash for the creators of The Simpsons to finally announce they will no longer cast white actors to voice non-white characters.
We've actually been working and speaking directly to studios to end this. I'll say this right now and hope the creators are watching this right now. You've done a great service, but don't shut the door there and know that people are watching you.
One concern, I think, is that there aren't enough parts for actors of color to go around to begin with.
What's not right is if there's 100 characters and 5 are black, or a type of ethnicity or a POC, can only read for those 5 and not the other 95.
Like, call it the whitewashing thing, if you will. Like, that's been going on for a while. The wave has kind of like gotten to the point where it's huge now. Holy shit, what the f?
That white wave has been devastating to the animation landscape.
We need to face it.
Last year alone, only 3% of women of color were featured in animated TV and film roles. It's a startling fact for Hollywood producer Dan Harmon, who's the co-creator of the Emmy-winning Rick and Morty.
If we're saying that it's an important part of this character that they are of a certain background, the best way to do this is to find an actor of that background. It sure feels like the right thing to do is to not write, this guy looks like this, and then cast someone that doesn't to do an impression of someone that looks that way.
Another big point, white actors generally tend to be seen as character actors, whereas black actors tend to be cast to play specific ethnic stereotypes.
Boy, them city folks is show in for a surprise.
We've always had this connotation of stereotypes, going back to Dumbo with the crows. This minstrel style imagery of who we are and how we represent has been moved through animation over the decades.
You should have aided Chronica, Caron. Now you must suffer.
But Hawaiian actress Kelly Hu is seeing good news around the corner.
I've been really lucky to be able to get roles that were not necessarily just written for Asian as well, like in Scorpion King, for instance. There's a lot more Asian actors whose names I don't know and who I've never met. So I know that it is better.
Now on to animation's bright side. The all-Asian cast of Netflix's Over the Moon, starring Sandra Oh with Margaret Cho, is in the works, along with a second season of Fuse's Sugar and Toys. Plus, a spin-off of the Oscar-winning short film, Hair Love. Coming up, how COVID is robbing recording artists and inspiring a brand new kind of hustle.
On ice. Celebrate that we made it, I put it on Christ. That's on God.
Welcome back. That was Jay-Z and Beyonce on the Run, the tour that grossed over $250 million. But get this, that's only 20% of the power couple's net worth. Lucky for them, but most artists actually need their touring income, and this pandemic has them stressed. Our financial correspondent, Zach Greenberg, is here to break it down in dollars and cents. Hey, Zach.
Thanks, Julissa. The shutdown since March due to COVID is drastically affecting so many aspects of our lives, including one thing we can all agree we love to do: go see live music. But what about the artists who earn most of their income on the road? Tonight, Central Lab investigates the survival of the famous.
This is a very, very turbulent time, a very bad situation across the live music sector. There have been a lot of layoffs, and so it's been really devastating.
Following the shutdown in March, the losses to the global live music business could reach $9 billion, according to Variety, with touring-focused companies like Live Nation taking a big hit.
Live Nation revenues decreased 98% year over year in the second quarter because there have not been any live shows.
The loss of touring has severely impacted artists, particularly those who rely on performing live for 80 to 90% of their income, forcing artists like Erykah Badu to quickly pivot. As artists have been forced to pivot to alternate revenue streams, who stands out to you as making the most of the difficult circumstances?
Well, those artists that understand their fan base are doing the best. For example, live artists who are specialists in concert performances, they need to reach their fans by doing live stream concerts.
Live stream concerts, once a sideline to the business, have become commonplace, with online music guides like Songkick promoting independent shows, major events like the iHeartRadio and Essence Music Festivals going virtual, and artists like Ben Gibbard of Death Cab for Cutie streaming from home.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? Can you guys hear me?
The downside? Artists earn substantially smaller fees for live streams.
I've seen some, honestly, go from $75,000 to $5,000 for one of these virtual shows. So it's absolutely been detrimental to them.
But there's a silver lining to be found, especially in the pandemic-era rise of new outlets like the popular Versus, where battles on Instagram are becoming a significant driver of album sales and streams.
It's a whole different type of battle, but you mean?
Hey, it is what it is, though.
Yeah,
This we was built on, right?
The battle between DMX and Snoop received 1.75 billion impressions and broke Apple streaming records with 600,000 spins.
Be all of yourself. What's the point of wasting all that good stuff?
Jill Scott and Erykah Badu's combined music streams rose from 2 million to 6 million in the 2 days after their Versus battle, with Scott's 2000 song Long Walk registering more than 500,000 plays.
Let's take a long walk around the park.
The artists that are succeeding are not only going to be able to monetize and do great within music. Now we have an opportunity for all of those other loves and all those other passions that you want to do. You can do that. And so taking Jill again as an example, she wanted to develop a wellness app, and now she's able to do that. That's going to be launching later this year.
Put tears in my eyes every time I tell a story.
Instagram is such an important source of revenue now that artists like Boosie Badass, who lost his account due to sexual content, claim they can't live without it.
Mark Zuckerberg. I need to get back on Instagram. I just gotta eat.
Welcome to the show.
Other artists are reaching fans by literally going virtual. John Legend performed as an avatar to promote his new album Bigger Love inside the Waves VR engine, while Travis Scott performed within the massive video game Fortnite. Leading companies like Live Nation down the same path.
We have been in conversations with video game companies, hardware companies, and software developers about, utilizing some of those mechanisms for our artists.
And musicians like Timbaland and Mark Ronson are finding fast cash by selling their catalogs to investors like the company Hypnosis. Tell me a little bit about, one of the other sort of buckets of things that artists are doing to, stay financially afloat during the pandemic, specifically in regard to selling publishing or selling masters.
On the selling side, for the artists and for the songwriters, I think that the pandemic has caused a lot of people to not only think about financial stress and strain, but to take stock of their lives generally. So they think, well, what can I do now to take care of my family and to make sure that I'm set for quite a long time into the future? One way to do that is to consider selling your publishing catalog or your royalty stream catalog. And as an entertainment lawyer representing people who own these catalogs, it's never been a better time to sell if it makes sense for the clients.
And selling masters can make financial sense for artists these days because they have so many more options on how to structure these deals than in the past when they had to give up all rights forever to their entire catalog. And of course, We All Hope concerts will return in 2021. Jaleesa, back to you.
Thank you, Zach. Really fascinating report. We'll be right back.
What a show, right? Mm-hmm. Well, we're going into even more uncharted territory in the next half hour.
Including the most notorious celebrity tax scandals and the ever-expanding fempire of Tyra Banks. See you soon.